This segment's being sponsored by the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency. Join us in preserving and protecting Tennessee's wildlife. All right, everybody, this next segment's being sponsored by our friends over at Taylor's Archery. Y'all can find them at 100 East Lauderdale Street in Tullahoma, Tennessee, or give them a call at 931-563-7706 and let Tracy Taylor and his crew take care of all your archery needs. Spend some time in his range there. Just a great facility. Be sure to tell him thank you for everything he does for us here at the show. All right, we are going to go ahead and open up the phone lines for you. So if you guys have any questions or comments, you can give us a call, 615-737-7767. And until then, again, we got Hunter Carmichael here with us tonight, guys. And let's go ahead right now. I want to talk a little bit about the max size tournament. Yep. What is the date of the tournament this year? May 2nd. Going to be on a Sunday. We usually do it on a Sunday. We're doing the Lord's work. So that's right. And it is. You really are. We really are. You know, we are the whole basis of the tournament is to raise money for the pastoral care department, sometimes known as the spiritual care department at Vanderbilt Children's Hospital. And we basically fund the staffing for this. So there is now a 24-hour staff for these families who are in need of spiritual support. And you guys have provided that. I mean, previously to this, that was not the case. They had one person that worked normal business hours and everything else was completely volunteer. Right. And so now there is 2 full-time and 2 part-time staffers, so they've got them on there 24 hours. And bad things happen to these families, these kids, 24 hours a day. There needs to be not just 9 to 5 or whatever. Absolutely. Yep. So, I mean, that's fantastic what y'all are doing with this. I mean, it's just marvelous. It's just great. And something nobody would think about until they needed it. No, this tournament started as my friends trying to help me, and they were putting on a tournament to help my wife and I. And I'm like, you know what? This will help me to turn this around and help Vanderbilt Children's Hospital somehow. And talking to, matter of fact, John Hopkins, we were talking about what can we do there. And John goes, well, there's your, I was telling him our story. He said, there's your answer. He said, you need to call the pastoral care department. And I'm like, I mean, that's how it all started. Perfect. You know? And you mentioned hopping. Now, this will be out of Fate Sanders. Yeah, it's going out of Fate Sanders, yep. And what do people need to do if they want to go ahead and get signed up now? All right, so we have a brand new website up and running. It's MacCarmichaelFund.com, so www.MacCarmichaelFund.com. All right. You can go on there if you want to just donate and don't want to fish the tournament. There's a section to do donations and sign up for the tournament. It's $140. Okay. It pays out $3,000 guaranteed for first place. It also pays out a $500 guarantee for big largemouth, a $500 guarantee for big smallmouth, and a $250 guarantee for big spotted bass. It's also going to pay out $100 for the it's got a smallest bass, but it's got to be a legal 15-inch fish. Legal bass. Yeah, it can't just be a 12-inch spot. That always adds a lot of fun to the tournament. Yeah. Right. We ruled the 12-inch spots out. It's got to be 15 inches. None of them. Got to be a 15-inch fish. Yeah. Well, we got a caller here. We got Ronnie. How are you doing tonight?
Doing good. How are y'all?
Doing great. We appreciate you calling. How can we help you tonight?
Yeah, I'm just curious about y'all's opinion about y'all ever experienced the rust color in the lake, or back in the old days used to call the lake was turning over, like from bottom to the top, the warmer and the cooler. But I went to Normandy 3 straight Mondays, and when I get to the ramp and I see that rust color, I don't know, are the fish deeper whenever they experience that? I've never really heard nobody talk about it.
They don't change a bit. They're in there. They still feed in that dirty water. It's just turning over. It's just part of the process of pretty much any lake when it reaches a certain temperature. Yep.
For me, I like to run around the lake a little bit and try to find some cleaner water, though, because in my experience, the entire lake is usually not turning over. It's usually sections of it. So.
Right. Where do you usually find that at? You trying to look for a mouth of a creek or something, somewhere some water's moving a little bit better?
Well, every lake's different. Reservoirs aren't river systems.
That's true. Yeah. A river system totally different. Old Hickory
and Center Hill. See, they both turn over different than Old Hickory or Cheatham or Nickajack or Gunnersville or any of that.
Yeah, like he's talking talking about Normandy.
Right.
So,
So really, I mean, you really hardly ever see a turnover in a river system unless you're in a creek, because the water's constantly moving it.
yeah. So it don't really have to.
Yep.
Don't have to go through that. Well, we appreciate you calling tonight, and you know, like they said, just don't really change up what you're trying. They ought to still be in there eating, doing their thing.
All right, appreciate it, and y'all have a good night.
All right,
Take
you
care.
too. Thanks again. Yeah, I tell you, if you ain't willing to fish muddy water, you just about park your boat this spring, couldn't you? You might as
But
well
like
just leave it at
Hunter
the
said a
house.
while ago, every lake you can move and get out of that water.
Yeah.
You can find it somewhere. You
Just
got
keep moving.
just keep moving.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what we did last time we went out.
Yeah.
We just chocolate milk, clean water. You know, of course, we were
I won
looking
a
for
tournament
crappie,
one
but-
time where I found one pocket that had water that was 3 degrees warmer, and that was the only place on the whole lake I was able to catch fish that day, and I won that day.
3 degrees
You know,
is a
it
big.
just-
That's a big difference.
it-
Those fish.
it
If it's
happens like that.
68 here and 65 there,
Yeah,
you're
the
talking
whole
about a
lake's
different ballgame.
the lake's different in different parts, so you
Yeah.
pretty much
And you
bank
know,
on that.
everybody thinks bass and crappie and stuff get up and spawn in that much water.
Yeah.
They do in like on your river systems, but your reservoirs, they'll spawn in 8 feet of water.
Yeah.
They'll
Right.
just, I mean, they'll get on a river channel rock and just bed right there on the rock, or just they never go up shallow.
Yep.
Right.
They never
rock cracks. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And that
that's
sun
right. Whereas we
penetrates.
expect they're sitting right there.
Right.
You know,
and
where
the
you can
sun
sight fish them,
penetrates
but-
that clear water and warms the beds and warms the fish up.
Yeah, totally different ballgame. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right. It is. Well, guys, we're going to talk a little bit more about the tournament coming up in the next segment, so we're looking forward to that. I want to talk a little bit about some of the other events going on with it. But right now, we're going to go on and do this week's Tip of the Week. This week's Tip of the Week is being sponsored by Phoenix Custom Quality Rods. You guys can find their full lineup at phoenixrods.com, or here in the state of Tennessee, give Mr. Jim Brewer a call, 931-213-1455, and let them take care of all your Phoenix Rods needs. All right, Hunter, you got one for us
Yeah,
tonight.
I got a tip of the week for you. So, you guys, I hear a lot of chatter about people talking about fluorocarbon line. I love fluorocarbon line because I can feel the bottom very well. I can feel the bites very well. But people complain about it breaking. Here's what you need to know about fluorocarbon line. If you ever stretch that fluorocarbon line, it's a lot different than monofilament. Monofilament will stretch just like a rubber band and it will go back. But I think of fluorocarbon as like a piece of taffy. You stretch it and it's stretched and it stays stretched.
Right.
So if you get hung up trying to get your bait loose and you pull and you've got 12-pound test on there, you've just probably made that 6 or 8 pound test.
Right.
So always keep that in mind with fluorocarbon line. Don't stretch that line and it'll
and
retain
if you do, cut and retie.
cut it off and retie.
Yeah, that's
is
right.
Very
Good
important.
tip. We appreciate that. Well, guys, we're going to get ready to take another quick break, and we're back here in just a minute with some more Southern Woods and Waters.